So some people are coming in. Welcome everybody to the a special edition of the Partner Attraction Formula Mastermind. And this is special because once a month we conduct an open house, right? An open house session of the mastermind. This is just like a regular mastermind. We have our normal mastermind members, but we also open it up to the larger community on our list. And so, it's an opportunity for everybody to kind of like audit and jump in and see what's going on. So now Andrew is my special guest today, and I'll introduce him in a second. But I want to explain to everybody why Ridgely's not here. He's traveling, he's doing some business, plus he's helping his mother, and that's awesome. But I have to tell you, I love it, Andrew, when Ridgely is away because I get to play and we really deep dive, right? And so what I like to do is bring in different experts. And so today we have Andrew Dale, and we're gonna, by way of introduction, kind of like interview him a little bit, and then we're gonna dive right in. And then Andrew, if you play with me, our mastermind, we have some members that couldn't be here today, so I just wanted to do a little housekeeping. We will record this session and get it out to everybody. And also, Andrew, take a look at this. I have pages and pages of questions that some members have submitted already, so we'll get that. I promised our list that they could ask you anything, so be prepared.
I've gotten in trouble when I've played that game previously. Ask me anything.
Well, there you go. Okay, so anyway, folks, let's welcome Andrew Dale. We will give you, by the way, his the way to contact him because you're gonna find out how awesome Andrew is. But I've known Andrew for a while. Ridgely and I use him as our personal SEO guru, right? Not only is because he literally wrote the book on certain SEO courses out there, and we'll hit on that. But this guy has the inside scoop with Google itself, and we just had a situation where our customer, had some maybe nefarious things happen to his Google business profile, and Andrew was able to, on account of his cloud, get it straightened right away. So, Andrew, say hello to the mastermind. We have a lot of visitors and also core mastermind members. And Federico says, Andrew, really nice to finally see you. Oh,
Hey, Federico, how are you, my friend? So,
okay. So, Andrew, you got to tell the story of how much of a geek you are. You're the only one I know that actually goes and reads the Google patents. Is that true?
yeah. So, I mean, we'll even go backwards a little bit further. So, I joke around that with my wife, it was the world's greatest bait and switch, right? Because I'm a former Marine. I did one tour in the Marine Corps, did one tour in the New York Army National Guard. I'm a retired police officer out of New York. But the entire time was literally a closet geek at heart. So I know that you guys, let's say, would drive by and see a patrol car sitting on the side of the road, and like you going, "Oh my gosh, like I got to slow down." You're looking and you're making sure that you're not doing anything. I was on the side of the road trying to catch open Wi-Fi so I could do SEO, right? So and people have no clue what was going on. But long story short, yeah, I created my first website back in like the mid '90s. It was when I tell you rudimentary e-commerce, it was send me a check or a money order to my PO box. After I cash it, I will mail you the photocopied books that I wrote. It was like as rudimentary e-commerce as e-commerce gets, right? So yeah, fast forwarding. I mean, I've gone through every single. I was one of the first adopters to Google AdSense. Let's see. I did the first. I created the first affiliate program with Career Builder. Yeah, I've been around the block a little bit, but yes.
I think I once heard, I don't know if this is actually true or not. You tell us if it's true or not, but you wrote the book for an SEO course for the state of New York?
Yeah. So I was employed to come in and write the syllabus for all the SUNY schools in New York, the state universities in New York. But what was difficult for me, I love telling this story, right? So like I write the syllabus and then I go in to teach my first class. And I'm so excited. There's like 10 people in the class and everything else. I'm like, they're all going to learn about SEO because I got into this before we even knew what it was called. Like we didn't call it SEO. We called it get my website found, right? Like that was the terminology. And SEO has just gotten a lot smoother as a term, right? But I went in to teach this course and I was shocked. I thought I was going to get, young, 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-olds, in the class. And I had all older adults. And I got to watch what I'm saying because I'm now becoming one of them older adults, right? So, but they were like all in their 50s and 60s and some of them late 60s, right? And they were all business owners. And they all knew, and this was like going back to maybe, I don't know, about 2006 or so, 2007, somewhere right in there. So there were a lot of people that realized that the internet was really the path forward for their business. The problem was that when I started the class, I said, okay, listen, everybody was in front of a computer. I'm like, let's just open up a browser. Let's go to Google. And everybody, the blank stare is looking back and be like, what is a browser? What are you talking about, right? And I'm like, okay, well, let's get these computers turned on first, right?
Oh
And
no.
then people are looking around the monitor and everything else. And I'm like, okay, this syllabus, and I literally walked over and I tossed it right into the garbage and go, all right, this doesn't mean anything right now because this is not what I'm teaching, right? But it turned out to be one of the greatest courses because, I did get everybody, at least on board technically as much as we could. But they gave me so much feedback about how I was one of them back then.
Yeah, Michelle said I was one of them back then. And then also
So
just to catch up with the chat, Bridget said SEO for a police officer, search offenders optimization.
yeah. Well, believe it or not, I did a lot of online reputation management, but not the way that people look at it now, like answering
Right.
reviews, but it was like cleaning up SERPs and stuff like that for people. So yeah, I'd
Well,
lock
I,
them
I
all.
can say this: this audience here is a bit more advanced than that, and
Yeah,
so be prepared to do your homework. But I know you have prepared because you literally have, you know, I think you stay up late at night. You told me reading Google patents.
yeah.
True or
So
false?
so anyway, long story short, I had a community where I was teaching people and everything else, SEO, and I came across that I thought it was like sort of like the backdoor hidden tool, right? And I'm like, well, if Google is going to implement these things, like they gotta have a patent on something. I mean, so I went ahead and I pulled like I don't know. To date, I've read over 230 Google search patents, 230 plus. I don't even know, somewhere in that number. It's definitely more than 230, but yeah, because I figured that, listen, if I read these things, I'm going to know where they're going. I know where Google's going now in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
They might not 100% get there because sometimes down that path there's a deviation, right?
Yeah.
But we know what we know what their end goal is, right? Like we can see it; it's pretty clear. The patents did not steer me wrong. Patents are a little difficult just because they're kind of written in really technical slash like legalese, trying to like be vague at the same time. But after you read a couple of them, like it winds up becoming really easy. And it's just like
Right.
everything in SEO. SEO is like one of the easiest things under the sun. There's just so much information
Right.
to try and hold on to, right? And in your head and what to sort through and what's garbage and what's good, right?
Well, okay, then that leads us immediately into the first question. Let me read the first question from our mastermind member. They said this. Um, Ridgely and Hubert, thanks so much for having an SEO expert on. I heard that something happened with some Google documents being leaked. Can you find out if Andrew learned anything new and tell us what's important and what's working these days in SEO? Okay, so
Okay,
so what
so
so what happened recently?
yeah, so recently there was an accidental document leak, right? It was basically like a GitHub, and like it just wound up getting open to the wild, if you will. Now, the greatest part about it, like, and I've been going through all these docs, I've been going through as many of them as I possibly could. Some of it has some of it has nothing to do with SEO. A lot of it does have stuff to do with SEO, but a lot of it was stuff that we already knew and was just best practices that we realized Google was lying to us about, right?
Oh
And
boy, okay.
yeah,
Okay,
and
now
I'm
okay, before you give us the details, I'm going to ask you for the purpose of this, our audience and so forth. Our audience is primarily comprised of small business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, online course creators. Some folks have local businesses. If you have a local business, drop that in the chat, folks, so that Andrew knows, because he's an expert also in terms of local business search and that sort of thing. But Andrew, what you learned about the documents, please also use it as an opportunity to tell our good people here what actually does matter and what doesn't matter in terms
Sure.
of what to do on their websites.
Okay. So, um, and this is not to badmouth Google, because I'm actually a certified Google product expert in Google Business Profile and Maps, and search as well. So, um, you know, I- it's not to badmouth them, but like I said, Google definitely misleads people all the time publicly when they come out and they say things. So the different things that matter, okay. Um, you need to look at your website as your brand, right? And although we knew this, and although this was something big, and it was in patents years ago and stuff like that, it's a matter of building your brand. Okay, building your brand will increase your rankings dramatically. So wherever your business should be located, right? Wherever a real, how do I say this without offending absolutely everybody? Wherever a legitimate business, right, is should be located, right? You need to make sure that your business is located. Dun and Bradstreet, all the different directories. You want to be listed in your local, um, whether it be your BNI groups or whether your local chamber of commerce. Google wants to be able to look at you and say, yes, this is a real entity, because everything Google looks at is an entity, right? It's not a website, it's not a person, it's all an entity, and then it breaks it down to what it is. Is
Mhm.
it is it a person? Is it a business? What is it from there? But everything is considered to be an entity, right? So what we've learned is that you want to build the brand. The brand is what matters. You want to brand yourself every single place where you go. If you sell products and you're selling, you want to make sure that you list yourself as the manufacturer, yourself as the brand, right? Um,
So I'm sorry, just to just dive in on that. So if I'm a coach and I operate under my own name, that's still my brand, right?
That is your brand, and you should be branding yourself every time that you go out there. Um, Give me the name of a coach or their business. It should be, every single video they put out, it should be in the title tag along with whatever their keywords are that they're looking to push for that video. Every blog post, they should be talking about their brand. Um, they want to build that brand, and you want to also build it just off your website as well. Like if you want to get an account on medium.com, or places where you can also blog as well. You want to just continue hitting the brand. It's all about the brand. Okay. Um, the second thing, schema matters. Okay. There's this thing called schema, right? And schema is just it's like a micro data that goes on your website that's not really visible, but it sits in the back end, and it allows
Yeah,
Google.
as a matter of fact, Patrick, thanks for contributing. Patrick wrote this in the chat. I'm just going to read it to you, Andrew. It says, "Hello, I saw the article on the Google leaks. It mentioned the importance of schema. Can you
Yeah,
explain schema code and how we should implement it in our SEO? Thank you."
sure. First of all, hey Patrick, what's going on, brother? All right, so let's start back. There used to be microdata that people used to put on their websites, to either identify like a recipe or a book or an organization or whatever that entity would be that they're trying to describe. The problem was that Bing had one type of microdata that they wanted. Yahoo had a different one. Google had a different one. Yandex, which is the Russian search engine, Russia's largest search engine, had a different one. All of these search engines all had different requirements for their microdata. So what happened was Google, Yahoo, Bing, Yandex all got together and said, listen, we're going to use the same code. We're going to all agree upon the same code. And they put it into a library called schema.org. You can actually go and check it out. It's not as confusing as it makes it look, but I looked at it once again, just like reading patents and saying, if four of the largest search engines that are all competitors with one another are going to agree and adopt on something, I should probably listen. That's probably a good point for me to start listening. It's sort of like my wife smacks me in the back of the head and be like, listen up, yeah, that's exactly what I did. I listened up and I adopted it. And
So
a
so
lot
wait,
of,
I'm sorry. So I'm saying this for both myself and also for the audience. The schema, you're saying it's microdata. This is actually like HTML code that you would put on your website?
yes. So it's, yes, it is in fact code that you could just drop right into your website. If it's
Okay,
WordPress,
cool.
you can pop it right into the what you see is what you get interface. Yes. Just
Okay,
click
cool.
over the
Okay,
text,
because
drop it in.
I know that you and I have a little show and tell with, one of your websites that we're gonna show people how we actually put the stuff in. So just
Yes.
remind me to show the plugin. There's a WordPress plugin that we can use that would help, put the schema together and that sort of thing.
Yes, or
So
or you can do it yourself through other through like other online free generators and stuff like that.
mhm.
You put all your information in there, just copy the code and pop it into your website as well. You can do that as well if you don't want to do the plugins, right?
And you're saying the schema makes a big difference.
So I'll explain to you exactly, like, for instance, if everybody here owns a business of some sort. So what the schema will do is the schema tells Google and Yahoo and Bing and Yandex and now a lot of other search engines who have adopted it. It tells them everything about that entity. Okay. So it's telling Google how to categorize, or the search engines, how to categorize what it's reading on that web page. It's telling Google, depending on the schema that you put in there, that it's a business, and this is the name of the business, and this is where the business is located, the address, and this is the phone number, okay, and this is the hours of operation. This is what the business does, because there's a description. It's the same as, let's say, your Facebook profile, your Instagram profile, your YouTube profile, and it's basically telling Google, like, I am the source, and I am telling you everything that you can trust about this business. When you do a search for a business and you see that knowledge graph over on the right-hand side of the search engine result page, and it tells all about a business, a lot of that is coming from schema. And really what it comes down to is that by putting schema markup on your website, you're not making a search engine guess about what the correct information is, right? You're telling it this is in fact the correct information. And Google in the leaked docs actually said how important schema is, that how much they use it towards the knowledge graph, towards your rankings, towards everything. And it's funny because I just finished reading a whole bunch of articles about schema's dead, schema's dead, schema's dead. And then this came out, and I was telling everybody, I'm like, schema's not dead. I'm like, it is absolutely one of the number one things that you should be doing for your website. And it's pretty easy to implement if you do it correctly.
Right.
And then all of a sudden this popped out, and I was like,
Wow,
wow, this
that's
is
great.
absolutely awesome.
Okay,
Right.
so far we've covered the importance of establishing your brand
Right.
and then also the usage of schema. The
Right.
other big thing, I'm going to my next question here, is Richard and Hubert, thanks for getting on me for getting my blog in order. This one particular person has not yet published the blog yet. Okay. Ask Andrew how important is blog content for SEO?
Oh gosh. So this is what I was going to. This is what I was going to do a little show and tell on today.
Oh,
Right.
cool. Okay. Yep.
So blog content is ridiculously important to your business. Okay. It's important twofold. It's important because there's great information that you can get out by yourself. And the search engines love it. But a couple of things on the side of those two great, awesome things is that it allows you to brand yourself. It allows you to expand yourself out to different, different portions of your niche. That is one thing in the leaked documents, right? There was something in the leaked documents talking about site focus, and it wants to make sure, like, so for instance, if you're blogging, you don't, and let's say you're a coach you're a coach on nutrition. Okay, I'm just gonna throw it out there. You don't want to be blogging about the monument down the street, right? You can talk about how you did a walk, and like this is a point of reference of where you walk and everything else. But like, you don't want to be posting about the time when you went bowling with your friends last week or whatever else. You need to keep it very focused because Google is looking to see how hyper-focused your website is. Now, it doesn't need to be so hyper-focused that if you're talking about nutrition, you can't expand it into other portions of health, right?
Mhm.
Google understands that, but that's what you want to use your blog for. And what I was going to go into is something called topical authority, right? You want to be the authority in your niche on what you want to dominate, right? So I have a business that I created years ago, and I'm actually recreating this business, which was I own a company that does custom pins. We make custom lapel pins, tie clips, money clips, coins, stuff like that, you know. And I want to be the absolute 100% authority in my niche. And what I've done was I've used AI to help me become that authority in my niche. And I will give everybody the prompts and everything else, and I'll show you exactly what's involved. But basically, what it comes down to is that you're going to surround your entire niche with all of the things that Google and people want to know about your industry. And you are going to be the 100% authority when it comes to your niche in your industry. And
That's
AI
awesome.
makes it so easy to do it. So easy to do it.
That's cool. So actually, let's jump right into our case study here. I'm going to share my screen, and by way of backstory here, um, Andrew has graciously, Andrew, folks, let me just set the context. So this is the Partner Attraction Formula Mastermind run by Hubert and Ridgely. Okay, we have a core set of experts that not only are they in the mastermind, but they have services that they've agreed to provide, other mastermind members and so forth. And so, you have not yet met Andrew. You're meeting him today. You've heard us talking about Andrew and so forth. So he's an insider. He's an expert in SEO. He was telling me about his pin project, and I said, "Oh, I'm excited too. Can I join the project? I can act as your design chief." Right? And Andrew said, "Okay, that's cool." Right? And so Andrew, is it okay if I actually show the site, the new site?
Heck yeah,
Okay, cool.
absolutely.
So, folks, this is still in development. This is about custom pins. And I have to tell you, there's no easier way to make an impact on somebody, like a big impact, that, than hand them a pin. Nobody ever throws a pin away. People have backpacks full of pins. It's just like awesome. Okay. It can be as simple as your logo, it can be, some sort of icon part of your logo or whatever. The Design Your Pins project is all about making it easy to design a pin. If you send us a sketch on a piece of paper or a fully drafted PDF of something, or using one of our AI tools to make it super simple, that's what we've built here. So I'm going to share my screen, and let me jump right into this. I'm going to share my screen, and Andrew, can you see my screen?
I can see
So,
you.
okay, so I'm bringing up Design Your Pins, right? Now, folks, we teach limbic messaging and we believe statements and their emotionality in our mastermind. And so you'll see that we always address two audiences. You deserve a beautiful way to spread your message to the world. Obviously, that's for the visitors, right? Note over here, and I'm going to ask Andrew to explain the importance of this. See how it says custom pins? Behind the scenes, Andrew, tell me if this is correct or not. We've actually made the human message here what's called an H2 in larger font, and this keyword here, custom pins, as an H1 in a smaller font. So the human first sees this great limbic message. But what do the search engines see, and why is it important to use H1s and H2s, Andrew?
So if you think about H1s, H2s, they're all part of HTML when you write your code. WordPress makes it really super simple to make, to make and use and deploy H tags.
Hmm.
H tags are a way that, once again, Google starts to understand what it is you're talking about, right? So your H1 tag is what your entire page is about, right? That's what you want Google to say, this is what the page is about.
Right.
Your
So here the
H2
page is about custom pins.
page is all about custom pins. The H2s are the H2s support that H1. It's like what is the sub stuff now that goes under custom pins, right? Best way for me to describe it is when you make an outline, right? And then, hold on one
Mhm.
second. I'm actually doing it on a piece of paper here.
Ah,
And
okay. So actually, let me stop my share then, and then you can actually show you a piece
here,
of paper.
I'll show it to you real fast. Just
Yep.
like this, okay? So this little dash here, this is your H1 tag. This is like what the top of the page is about. Your H2 tags are your stars. And they support that H1 tag. They're all about that H1 tag. Then you have H3 tags, which reference the H2 tags. It's not all that confusing, but I used to get it all confused. I used to say, oh, there's an H1 tag, then I need to have an H2 and then an H3 and then an H4 and H5 and H6. It's not like that. Think about it like an outline, right? Where
Yeah, because it looks like a Word outline or Google Docs outline.
exactly. So every single time it indents, that indent is talking about, what it actually is under, right? So that's all H tags are. What it does is does the HN stand for? I'm sorry, I didn't read that.
Does the H in H1 and H2 stand for headline?
No, it stands for header. So the H means header tag. So it's a very simple get way. Once again, just kind of categorizing what's going on the page and making it very organized. The problem is that a lot of people they'll make multiple H1 tags on a page. There really should only be one, but they make multiple H1s because it looks nice, right? Like we can always
Ah,
change the
see,
CSS, right? We can always make the
yeah,
CSS look different, but some people don't know how to do that, so they
yeah.
automatically just use that particular H tag because it looks aesthetically nice.
So
Um,
back to the show and tell. So
yes,
what I'm showing here is this that um, the H1 here custom pins and the H2 is this, but you can actually set the look of it separate than the definition that it's an H1. So
right,
if the H1 is giant, it would be weird to just say custom pins. We're making it small visually for humans, but for the robots, it's primary because it's an H1. Back to your example of the nutritionist. If if you want to rank for nutritionists in Dayton, Ohio, you would put in little case here nutritionist in Dayton, Ohio, and then you would say here, you deserve the best health possible or something like that, right? And
correct.
then you can make the H2s all about the different areas of nutrition and the H3s and so forth. Do I have that right?
Absolutely. And for those of you that have small businesses,
Mhm.
your website is so tied to the Google business profile. Um, if you have a Google business profile, your website is telling you link your website from your Google business profile to your website. What your H1 tags are, your title tags, your H2 tags, all of that is going to determine how well your Google business profile performs in the maps when somebody's doing a search.
So
They're
the Google business profile, a common question that I personally get is, "Hey, I'm not a pizza shop or a carpet service. I'm a coach or a nutritionist. I work out of my home. Can I still get a Google business profile?"
absolutely you can. Um, there are a bunch of different ways to do it. If you work out of your home, Google's a little bit more leery about things because, rather than like an actual office, but there are still plenty of ways to get your own Google business profile. And I highly, highly, highly suggest it. When somebody does a search and there's some sort of local intent, usually you'll
Mhm.
get three pack pop
Here,
up right at the top of the
let's
search.
let's actually show that. Okay, so if I search for uh, nutritionist near me, right?
Yep.
So there are some ad ones here, sponsored,
Yep.
and then are you saying that this listing here is a Google Business Profile?
Yep, those are that's the map pack that will show right up in the top of the organic search, and each one of those are Google business profiles.
Okay, so
And
I'm
there's
gonna
a specific reason why one is at number one, and that there are some that are not even showing anywhere. And
so
like for instance,
obviously, so just to repeat, obviously, it's important as a local business to be in the top three of this places listing because look, first the advertisers are shown, then the Google Business Profiles are shown, then the questions are shown, and only then do you get like the normal rankings.
right, And what you really want, the pinnacle, is to show up #1 in the map rankings, and then to show up #1 in the organics as well.
Okay,
Uh,
so what are some of the best practices of well, so let's assume that everybody on this call, either gets control over their existing Google business profile or they start a new one and get it. Once they start doing that, like what makes the big difference on how to rank well in this places section?
Okay, so just like you said, you got to verify your Google business profile. Google wants to make sure that you are the one that should be operating and really have management over that Google business profile. But once you do, and you jump into your Google business profile, Google's big thing, and I told you that SEO is really not all that difficult, but it's profile completeness. You want to make sure that you fill out every single check mark, every single box that you possibly can. When it comes to the Google business profile, one of the most important things is making sure that you have the correct category. You can select up to one category and then 9 subcategories. You don't need to select all 9 categories, subcategories, but you need to make sure that your main category is the correct category. And a lot of times people say, well, how do I know which the correct category is? And I tell people, well, there are plenty of tools out there, because SEO is it's not invisible. If you have the right tools, you can see everything that your competitors are doing. Absolutely everything that your competitors are doing. So Hubie, let me share my screen for a second,
Yep.
and I'll just show you exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay, great.
Um,
So here's an action item for everybody. Find out if you don't have if you already have a good big Google business profile, listen to Andrew about how to optimize it. If you already if you don't know if you have one or not, Andrew can walk you through how to find it and claim it. And if you need to set one up, you should immediately do that as homework after this call, because as Andrew says, you don't need to be a bowling alley or a pizza shop to get a Google business profile, and you saw how important in the listings it is to have as a listing.
okay, so I live in New York, but I also bought a house down in Florida, and I'm playing Bachelor right now. I'm down at my house in Florida all by
Okay,
myself. Me
so
and
so
the
Andrew, I'm seeing a blank screen right now. Does anybody else see
you
a
see
blank
a
screen?
blank
I,
screen.
yeah,
Wow.
I'm seeing a blank screen. Let me check the chat. Let us know, folks. Um, yes, blank. So you're
Blank.
gonna have to
That's no good. Hang on one
you're gonna have
second.
to try harder.
I am. I am. Let's see. Share
There you go.
screen. I want to
All right.
share.
Stop your share and then share it again or something like that.
Let's try this. Can you see this?
Bridget says maybe your SEO is missing, Andrew.
I just disappeared.
Yeah. Okay. We do see your listings page now.
Okay, so like I said, I live down in. I have a house. I'm up in New York, but I also have a place down in Florida. I'm in Florida right now, so everything. I'm right outside of Disney, about 20 minutes outside of Disney. So I'm just going to do a search here, and this is what popped up because this is what's local to me. Okay, so I have some plugins now. You'll see that my search results look a lot different than what Hubert's search results look like. You'll
Yeah.
see
Oh, because you
here.
have these secret insider tools and
No, but and that's
X-raying
the
it.
greatest part. They're not really all that secret. Like these are like Chrome extensions that you can just download, and you
Okay.
could be able to see what all the categories are and everything else. And
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 and I just missed it. Tell me again. You searched for nutritionist.
I searched for nutritionist Kissimmee, Florida.
Okay, got it.
Now I'm going to show you what's really cool with some of these tools. And I'm going to go to the actual maps, and I'm going to do the same search. And what my tools will do, is they're going to do a search here, and then there's this really cool tool that I use, and I'm just waiting for it to populate. Sometimes when I'm on a Zoom call, it doesn't. There we
Oh,
go.
there we go.
So you can see what this tool does. This tool tells me that out of the 20 people on this page that are showing up, the 20 results over here, 19 of them are using the word nutritionist. 6 of them
This
are
is
using.
about the categories that you said were so important to set.
Yeah. So, like I said, when we don't have to guess, there are tools that help us see what the #1 people are already doing. Like the #1 person is using nutritionist and then a subcategory for dietitian. The next person is just using nutritionist. The next person, which is interesting, is using herbalist,
Hmm.
right? And then service establishment, health consultant, nutritionist is also in there. Nutritionist, but also wellness program as their main category. So what it's telling you is that you better have the word nutritionist as one of your categories, probably the main category, right?
Right.
And then you could put some of these others if they fit into you, because they, if you're a nutritionist, you might not be a life coach, you might not be a fitness center, you might not be a wellness program. But if some of those do apply to you, and it's not, do you offer those? I always tell people, ask yourself, am I that? Am I a nutritionist? Am I a health consultant? Not that I offer health consulting, but
Right.
am I a health consultant, right? And there's a big difference there. You don't want to just go, yeah, like, and stretch and go, yeah, I'm like, look at this, graphic designer. Yeah, I'm a nutritionist, but I'm also a graphic designer. Like, no, that doesn't mix, right?
Right. This is that
Um,
topical. This is that topical authority concept you mentioned earlier.
exactly it. We want to stay completely on target.
Gotcha. All
So
right. So I have to interrupt you on behalf of the chat. People are lighting it up. They want to know the name of the plugin that's showing that result. Can you tell us the
okay,
name?
so I got a couple of different plugins that I use. Let me just get all this like Zoom stuff out of the way here. Okay, so as you can see, I have just a handful of plugins that that I use. Um, the one plugin that I absolutely love that's showing all of this
Hmm.
is, it's called Plepper, and it's common spelling, Plepper. Okay.
Clever. And
Plepper.
these are free plugins to
Free
install in
plugins,
Chrome.
absolutely
Chrome.
free
Got it.
plugins. Um,
Okay.
there's a couple of other plugins that I use, but that is the one that I really like. Um, there's also another one called GMB Everywhere. I like this one too. Um, I don't know what I just did there. Yeah, GMB Everywhere. That's I'm hovering over it right now. Great plugin.
And
And
and and on the left side of your screen there, those boxes that are showing up with that extra info,
now,
that's
so this is all GMB Everywhere right here.
okay, great.
Okay,
Okay,
and
so those 2 core ones are great. I'm gonna also interrupt you again, Andrew. I wanna read a question from Bill. So Bill, first off, Bill said, "Andrew, thank you for your service both as a Marine and a police officer." Okay.
uh,
And back when we get back to our case study show and tell, we're going to show how Andrew is leveraging that into his brand. Okay. And then our Bill's question is this: for a profile, how to handle when you are incorporated in one state, but live or support customers in another state. For example, want to help local customers near me, but I live in Florida, but I guess he's incorporated in a different state.
doesn't matter where he's incorporated. It matters where he operates. Okay. Now, if he operates out of two states or two different locations, then we're going to create two different Google business profiles. One for the one location and one for the other. Because, like, let's say if you're a nutritionist, you're not going to be able to service an area much larger than, a little bit further than where your office is or where you set your area that you serve. Okay. You're
But
not going to be.
how do you handle if you provide online services?
All right. So now Google turns around and says, listen, if you're an online only company, then we don't believe that you qualify to be a Google Business Profile owner. But what I would do with that is I would at least get the local area around you where you operate out of, and then you can still market to yourself to all over the country if you want to.
Okay,
But
so what you're saying is even if you primarily operate online, take the take advantage of the fact that you're locally based and set yourself up for as a local entity in Google Business Profile.
1,000%. And not
Okay,
only that, but the Google Business Profile will help um, your really establish your brand. Um, because a lot of times when you sign up for different things, they ask, "Oh, what's your Google Business Profile?" And like for instance, I don't even have one with the pins just yet. I'm
right.
working on it. I don't
Ah,
want to.
right.
I don't want to jump too hard and too fast into it until I get myself set up, and I'll explain that as we
Right.
jump.
Okay, so Bill's part 2 is, okay, I'm in IT and do 90% remote support and consulting. Are there B2B style profiles for a larger audience?
No, no, there's not. So basically, what you want to do is, even if Google business profiles aren't going to bring you in leads, which most of the time they will, but if it doesn't, it's there also for people to check your credibility, right? Like they're going to check your Google business profile to see what sort of reviews you have and everything else. So it's also a credibility builder for you, even if you don't get any leads, let's say, out of it. So no, there is no B2B, unfortunately. You just have to kind of go after the area that unfortunately you happen to you happen to be in, right? Wherever your
Right.
office is, that's the area that you're going to basically be operating,
But
as the
Andrew,
center,
so even though even if you don't get like local leads though, you
right?
get a whole bunch of like SEO signals out of having your GBP pointing to your website and so forth, right?
Absolutely, you do. And once again, it's also a huge for the search engines. Absolutely, it gives you a huge amount of credibility with the search engines, but it also gives you a huge amount of credibility with actual people, actual potential clients. So it's a
Okay,
it's
so
a
this is
win-win
the
on both sides.
I'm sorry, I'm so anxious. I keep talking over you. Federico is saying, with my video company, I work out of West Palm Beach, but my work is all over the US. What's a good strategy to tackle appearing in specific areas?
So basically, what you need to do is, if you want to really hit different areas, you got to create or really get a business location within those areas, right? You're going to get an office within those areas or whatever else. It's not exactly, um, it's not exactly feasible sometimes. If your video services, Federico, let's say you do the entire United States, it might not be feasible for you to really be using Google Business Profile to like get leads all over the entire United States. I would say that you want to work hard on West Palm Beach and the surrounding areas, and then take it from there. And maybe it just comes down to doing like more global SEO on your website, um, rather than trying to grab the leads like from a local funnel, if you will.
And heck, Andrew, Palm Beach, all you need is one local billionaire to notice you in the maps listing and he calls you up. Forget it, it's over.
Um, it
Um,
doesn't
he,
take
uh, let,
much.
let's celebrate with Bridget. Bridget says, I just loaded Plepper and found that I rank in the top 5 for graphic design in San Juan Capistrano, California.
See, it's amazing that a lot of times you just don't know things until you start to grab the right tools and you start to dig in. Um,
Excellent. Okay,
I'm a
cool.
firm believer of I don't keep any secrets within SEO. Anybody wants to know anything, and I'll tell them anything and everything that I know. Um, because I'm a firm believer that most people want to grow their business. They don't want to be sitting here doing their SEO all day long, but they should know exactly why somebody's doing what they're doing to, let's say, their website or their business or their Google business profile or whatever the case may be. They should be an expert enough to know, yes, that's the right thing to be doing. They don't need to be an expert enough to have to do it all day long, because they want to
Right.
run their business. That's their job.
Yep. Okay, so I'm gonna put in a plug for you at this point because some people told me in advance they can only stay on for about 40 minutes or so.
Sure.
So I just dropped the thing that said, if you're interested in contacting Andrew Dale about SEO, send an email to support@partnerattractionformula.com and we'll put you in touch with Andrew. Now I know that Andrew helps people set up their SEO, helps people do an SEO tune-up, helps people do ongoing SEO. And one very cool thing about Andrew is that he'll put together services for you at whatever budget you have, right? There's no such thing as like, you know, wasting your money when it comes to Andrew. Like he'll hook you up with what you need and what you only wanted to spend. And so, he's our trusted resource for SEO. And if you want to connect with um, Andrew, it's quite reasonable. Just send an email to support@partnerattractionformula.com. All right. So Andrew, before you share your next thing, if you can release your script, share screen share, I just want to
Sure.
go back to my show and tell and pick up on a couple of the themes here. Bill was talking about, thank you for your service and so forth. And I just wanted to point out how you actually use your background as a Marine to actually design your pins so much. You're making it a big deal that it's veteran owned, and you had, this custom art commission, so that's your logo. And so it's all about, the team. And a cool concept that I worked with Andrew on is that if you guys have ever pursued a custom pin project, it's always like these faceless, unknown websites that you're working with. Some of them you can see all the pins and all of that, but you'll never see like who the owner is, right? And so i- talking
Oh,
about
God,
like,
that's such a horrible picture of me.
no, no, no. You look awesome in that hoodie. So there's a whole thing about Andrew. Hi, my name is Andrew. Blah blah blah. That's me in the company logo. I'm proud to have served in the U.S. Marines. It was a zillion years ago, but I've brought that sense of duty and commitment to all my business projects ever since. It's true what they say: once a Marine, always a Marine. So you see the strong branding elements that are going on here, and then there's the director of operations, and then um, as I mentioned earlier, I joined the team also as a design person, so I'm on here. So already we're making a big branding difference because, like, rather than a nameless pin design company, you actually see Andrew, Robin, Hubert, right? So now this section here, Andrew, if we can get back to talking about the blog, and then we'll actually show like how you use AI to optimize your blog posting. So
Absolutely.
back to the concept of, hey, I don't yet have a blog on my website. Andrew, how important is it to get that blog section up?
I can't even stress, because what I'm going to share with everybody is that whole topical authority. And this is how we do it. We do it right through the blog.
Okay, cool. Like, so for example, I clicked into a random blog thing, right? This is about, how to secure your pin. They're called pin clutches, right? And so there's a whole thing, and it's helpful information, and it's all about, the content, and it's everything you basically want to know about pin clutches. Now, since we're looking at this kind of um, expert advice and expert content, Andrew, can you explain? Because one of my notes here also says, Andrew, can you please explain EEAT? What is EEAT? So, since we're talking about content and authority, can you explain, please, what EEAT is?
So EEAT is one of the biggest things that Google is looking at right now. Um, Google wants to make sure that it always provides the best result to its visitors, to its clients, if you will, right? One of the best way that it can sort the difference between who it should be teeing up is what they call EEAT, right? So you have they look at like how much expertise do you have, and and are you explaining in your um, in your posts, on your website and everything else. Like, do you have the experience to really be that expert? A lot of times, Google has, I don't know, millions of different results that it can choose from, right? How does it know who it wants to tee up? It knows it because, like I said, it's looking for the best results for its its users. And once again, EEAT comes into effect. Hold on one second. I'm just going to pull something up here, and it might.
Okay, and EEAT is, I can't ever remember what it stands for.
Well, they also called it the double EAT, right? Because
Yeah.
yeah, it gets a little but it's like I said, I don't want everybody to get too wacky and confused about things. They're looking for experience, they're looking for authoritativeness, they're looking for trustworthiness, right?
Mhm.
That's what they're looking for. Google wants to make sure that it has all of those elements in play in all of your content. It wants to make sure that you are the expert and that they can trust you. And there's a bunch of different aspects of what you want to portray on within your blog posts and within the content on your website, especially like the About Us page.
Right.
Um,
Okay, so
you also,
I'm jumping back to the example, and so before I leave this post here, I promised that we'd show people on the inside of the website. So this is the back end of WordPress, and there is this information here where it says Rank Math SEO. Okay, and so this is a tool. Oops, this is a tool that helps you uh, do SEO things easily in WordPress. Is that fair to say?
yeah, it basically gives you a score.
Oh,
Um,
look, and here's the section that actually says schema. You can
schema.
actually click it right here, and then oh, and it's as simple as choosing a schema from a dropdown and then actually generating it.
Yep.
And
And
actually, I know that there's a free level of Rank Math SEO too. So if you guys
there
are out
is.
there running a WordPress blog, you might want to start by installing the free plugin for Rank Math
And
SEO.
what Rank Math does, and it doesn't need to be, I mean, this article ranks pretty well, and it only says 73 out of 100 because for you to
Oh,
get a
even 100
100 out
ranks
of
better.
100,
Yep.
it's almost next to impossible. And it would almost make your blog like, I don't know, like almost a little ineffective at a certain point. You don't want to be linking too far, too many
Right.
times outside of your website, right? I mean, a little bit here and there is
Yeah.
fine, but not too much.
So this is cool. This is prompting you to improve your SEO by filling out certain things like the focus keyword and so forth. So it kind of guides you through the SEO of a blog post.
Correct.
Oh,
Correct.
and I see you put in plenty of tags here.
Yep.
And then there's the featured image. This is very, very cool. So it's actually much less intimidating than people would think. And there are
Absolutely.
categories.
And we're going to make it a lot less intimidating than you think because I'm going to explain to you about how to know what you should be writing about and then how to write it,
Oh,
right?
cool. Okay,
It,
so let's look at the blog section. And I think Andrew told me there's no such thing as too much content, and so the recent blog post, it's all about different aspects of pins. So can you just tell us what's your thinking when you kind of come up with topic ideas about pins? Like what's your thought process here?
so my thought process is once again topical authority. I want to be the absolute expert within my field regarding the topic of custom pins. And AI makes it so easy for us now to be able to do that. Um, Before, I mean, could you imagine sitting down writing post after post? Now, I used to do this for years, sitting down, I'd hire a group of writers that were all sitting around writing
Right.
mindless content and everything else.
So this content here that we're looking at, this is AI generated?
All of this is AI generated.
Okay, so then one of the big questions I've always had then is how does Google treat AI content? Is it okay or is it risky or what's your stance on AI generated content for SEO?
Okay, so everybody always says, oh, you got to watch Google with AI content. Google doesn't know or care whether it's AI content or not AI content. Okay. Google wants to make sure that the content that you're putting out is helpful. If it's just words and like just nonsense and over again, like talking about the same thing in a different, just spinning the same keywords over and over and over again, Google's like, listen, this isn't helpful to anybody, so we're not going to rank it.
Hmm.
um, every piece of content that I put out there, I stop and I read and I go, okay, well, how can I tweak it? So what
And
I want.
actually, I see I'm still scrolling. This is a beefy article.
Oh, it's completely beefy. Completely. I mean, like, and we want to get into as specific as we possibly can, right? Because that shows really the expertise and it shows my experience level in custom pins.
Well, see that's one thing that originally and I always say too, in that AI makes it possible to put in great content, but unless you know how to prompt it, you wouldn't know without Andrew's experience in designing custom pins. We wouldn't even know to ask AI to write about, production quality and pin backs and everything else that we're looking at here.
So let me show you this real fast, Hubert, because
Yep.
I know that I don't want to hold up people. I know people's times are really valuable. So let me okay.
Oh,
I'm gonna
we're coming up on the hour. So everybody, I'm just dropping again in the chat. If you want to contact Andrew, just send us an email at support and we'll get you in
okay.
touch.
So this is I shared this in the chat. This is for Topical Authority. This is going to give you 300 things to write about. Okay, by the time you're all said and done. Now, if you're a smaller local business and you're just trying to rank for like nutritionist in your local town or whatever else, you don't really need to go as heavy as this, but you still want to do this. But you might not need to go 30 semantic keywords. You might be able to do 10. And just scale it down just a hair. But I'm assuming that everybody here has ChatGPT, right? Now, I played around with ChatGPT. I love ChatGPT. Don't get me wrong. I also have a subscription to Claude 3, Claude 3 Opus, which I think actually writes much better content than ChatGPT. But
Oh, good to know.
ChatGPT does other things better than Claude 3 Opus does. So I'm looking at it for like $40 a month, right? I got like the 2 killer teams on my. Could you imagine, right? Imagine having somebody that can do as much as ChatGPT and another AI content writing tool for $40, right? Like, there's no way that if
Right.
you're for an extra $20, it was so worth it for me to check it out, and it turned out to be absolutely awesome. So let me explain to you how I do this, right? So we'll actually do it. Give me an example. Somebody can give me an example of what business they're in.
Okay. Would
Let's do
somebody in the chat drop their niche in business, please? Okay. So Bridget is saying graphic design.
Okay, so hold on one second. That's a great one. Okay, so all we're going to do is we're going to copy this. We're going to go into ChatGPT. Sorry, I'm just moving things out of my way because it's all the Zoom stuff.
So
Um,
this is the expertise that's required to have the right prompts because I see in the prompt, if you look carefully, it says semantically relevant but unique topics. Like unless you're Andrew and know SEO inside and out, you wouldn't even know to make that part of your prompt.
Okay, so I just asked ChatGPT to give me 30 semantically relevant but unique topics, just as you said. And this is what it kicks out, right? And Bridget, let me ask you a question. Are all of these relatively topically relevant to you?
She said yes even before you finished your sentence.
Yeah, okay. So now what we do is we're going to take this, we're going to open up the spreadsheet, we're going to just pop them right into the spreadsheet, right like this, okay? Now, these are all of my 30 keywords. Great. Okay, let's take the first one, logo design. Now, was it Bridget that said that she has a blog that's collecting dust? Was that Bridget that said that?
No, that was somebody else.
That was somebody
Unless
else.
she says yes, so maybe she does too.
Okay, so Bridget, listen, you're no longer going to be collecting dust. Okay, it's no longer going to be collecting dust. Now we're just going to go to the next prompt. Okay, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to pop it in here. Give me 10 different keyword variations of semantically relevant keywords you produce that address different search intent. Okay, so let me just go back here real fast. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to, for logo design. I'm going to take these. I'm going to put these into my spreadsheet here. And guess what, Bridget? Oh, no, that did not happen to me.
What happened? What happened?
I tried to copy it and I tried to paste it into it and the cells. Okay, there we go. So this is your first list of each blog post that you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing 10 different blog posts. You're going to be doing one for best logo design services. The next is going to be affordable logo design. The next is going to be custom logo designers near me. Next is logo design inspiration, how to design a logo. Top logo designer trends 2024. You can read the list, right? And this is all going to go under the category in your blog of logo design. So all of those,
Wow.
right? And what we're going to do is let's just go back to ChatGPT real fast. So best logo design services, right? Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop this into ChatGPT, but I'm not going to hit anything yet. All right, what I'm going to do is I am going to go to, and we were talking about those header tags, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Google search for best logo design, best logo design services, right? I'm going to find who's sitting in the #1 spot, which is, well, okay, so this guy right here, best logo makers. I can go right here. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to use another plugin, which is which guy right here? It is SEO Meta in one click. That's the Chrome extension.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to click on it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to headers. And you see how they have all of their H1s and H2s and everything else all laid out here? And it's sort of a mess how they did it, but you know, whatever, I'm going to take it. I'm going to go back to ChatGPT. I'm going to take that out and I'm going to put all of those H tags in there. So now Google has some, now ChatGPT has a reference. This is the stuff that's ranking right now as it is. Okay.
Mm-hmm. This is solid gold, Andrew. Solid gold.
Right. Um,
I just want to recognize we've been in for an hour. This is where normally we stop the meetings. Andrew, if you're good to keep going, we can keep going. But just wanted to acknowledge that some people do have to drop off. A replay will be made available. So thank you everybody for your attention. Please contact support at partnerattractionformula.com if you want to be put through to Andrew. Alex S is asking, Andrew, is that plugin SEO Meta?
It's SEO Meta one click.
SEO Meta one click.
In one click, yep.
In one click, yep.
Okay, so now it's generating an article, but what I don't like about the article is that it's referencing, you're the graphic designer, and this one is now referencing other graphic design companies out there, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just stop this, and we gotta tell ChatGPT, hey, listen, you know what? We like this, but we need to tweak this. This is great. But, and I always like to kind of like give ChatGPT a little bit of positive reinforcement. But I am a graphic designer. I do not want to recommend anyone.
This is great, Andrew. Thanks for pointing out the fact that blogging is such an easy way to kind of get that topical authority. And I just happen to know that so many of our members in the mastermind don't yet have an active blog going. And so this is a whole new approach to using the blog to boost their SEO. This is invaluable. So thank you.
Okay. Now what you can do, write me the outline first. Okay. And this way we can make sure that, we're just going to get the outline right here. And they're going to put you right in here, Bridget. See this?
Wow. So right now, these are not the actual articles. This is an outline for the articles, right?
Correct.
And then you'll no doubt ask AI to write the actual articles then.
Yep.
Cool.
Remove the references to the 12 best logo designs. Now, using the best SEO tactics, make an article, write it in. Remember how we were worried about the H2s, the H3s, all of that
Right.
stuff?
Yep.
You know what? Don't worry about it. Guess what? We're going to let ChatGPT write it for us.
Oh, so all you have to do is say write it in HTML, and then it
Write it
generates
in
all the.
HTML. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy everything from my H2 down. The H1 is going to be my title. This up here is if you were going to just keep it all in an HTML written document or whatever else. If you're using WordPress, you don't want to do that. Just grab it from where, right under where,
Yep.
right after the H1 tags end. You can go right here and you can just grab this all and you can literally go right into WordPress.
Yep.
When
And
you
then
get
pop
into the
it in.
back of WordPress, rather than it has two little tabs on the top right corner of where your box is. One says visual, one says text. Click on text, pop this in there. As soon as you pasted it in there, go back to visual and you'll be able to see it all. Read through the
Right.
whole thing and make little changes as need be.
Nice.
So for instance, you can tell my fingers by the end of the day is like I'm all over the place typing. So I'll give you an example of you would go right to posts, you would do add a new post. So that H1 tag, if we went back here, we would take that H1 tag. Whoa, where did it go? Okay. We would take this H1 tag, we would just copy it right here.
By the way, Andrew, I see that you need to hit the continue generating button to get the rest of the HTML right there.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. And then we put that right in there. Okay. And then the next part.
And that works, folks, because we happen to know it's set up so that the blog post title is the H1 of the page.
Right. And then we'll continue, but just to show you, you just click over here where it says visual and where it says text. Pop all of that in there and then go back to visual and you can actually see that it formats it all exactly the way that it needs to be.
With the proper header, H1s
Proper
and
header,
twos.
H1 tags, everything.
That's
So
awesome.
now I can go through and I don't suggest for you just to click, just to go ahead and click and say, hey, you know what, we're good to go. Read through the whole thing, make any tweaks. And you should be putting in a new category, and that new category should be logo design. And each one of these articles that you write should be about logo design. Then you're going to do the same exact thing for brand identity. And you're going to have 10 of them right here. And when you do 10 times the 30 of them that you have here, you're going to have about 300 articles, and you are going to be the topical authority guru. The one very important thing is, as you read through the article, you're going to want to, if you have another article that you've already written stuff about, let's say about choosing the right tools, let's say you have a blog post about that, you're going to just want to link to that page internally. So that what happens is all those pages are getting interlinked and Google's looking at it and understanding the reference. That's the reason why Wikipedia ranks so well. That's the reason why all those wikis would rank so well, because they were always linking to other content so you can read more about that particular subject.
Right.
So,
So
guys, do not.
Federico is asking, first off, he said, this is incredible, so much value. Thank you, Andrew. Then he said, where do those articles go? Where do you publish them? So this is all in the blog section. And we're talking about the 30 different articles. They're blog posts, and they link to each other through the WordPress blog system, and
That's
they link to
exactly.
the pages, and Andrew links keywords back and forth. And then also we drop external links as well. Federico's just clarifying within my own page. Yes. So each of these blog posts, each of these articles is a blog post, and they'll link to the blog landing page as well as other blog posts. If you, in the example that we were showing when we were showing the blog, we have it set up so that the sidebar has little previews of all the other blog posts. So everything is linking back and forth.
This is so powerful, guys. And I am telling you that it would be very difficult if you had to hire content writers to write 300 articles. You don't need to do all of this in one day, and you don't want to, because one of the big reasons why you want to have a blog and an active blog is that how Google sets its resources, because everybody thinks that Google has like unlimited resources, and they don't. They have a finite amount of resources. So what happens is Google will visit your website, okay? It will see the content on your website and say, okay, I finally found this website for the first time. It will set its crawlers to come back, let's say 30 days later, and say, hey, let's see if there's anything new. If there's nothing new, Google's going to say, okay, well, maybe I can extend that out to 60 days because they kind of put out all their content and I don't see anything new. If there's something new, Google might say, okay, you know what? I'm going to cut that number from 30 days down to 15 days. Okay. Then the next time it comes there, oh my gosh, 15 days later, there's new content here. I'm going to cut that in half again. I'm going to come every week. It comes the next week. Wow, there's new stuff there. I can do every 3 days. I can tell, to the point that there are some websites like Reddit and everything else. They have Google crawlers on there constantly because there's constant content being created on those websites. So
Yeah.
what you want to do is, I like to say, listen, if you have AI, if you can knock out, right? And this is a lot to ask, right? But if you can knock out logo in 1 week, right? All 10 of these blog posts in 1 week, right? That's a lot. That's a lot. But that's also, this is 30 weeks of content, right?
Yep.
Like, and to be honest with you, my attitude is I want to get it done as quickly as possible because I want to become the authority expert as quickly as possible. I don't have to wait 30 weeks, right? And then for Google to find everything and everything else. So the faster you can get it done, the better you are. Just to give you a quick idea, this is, I'm looking for.
So Bridget is saying no need to drip the content then. Cool. Although I would say this.
You don't want to pop out 40 of them at the same time.
Right. Put out a set, and then that way that'll keep Google busy, and then start dripping out the rest so that every time the crawler comes back, it sees that it's been changed since the last visit.
Absolutely. Now, I just wanted to show you this just as a side.
Victory the Dominator is asking, how do we insert the HTML code into the Wix blog? So when you go to edit it in Wix, there is, you'll have to search for it, but there is a little, in the interface, there's a little thing that represents code. It's usually like bracket or something like that. And when you click on that, it lets you pop in HTML code. I know it's possible because I've done it in Wix. So Pat is asking, and Bridget is asking. Pat's asking, within the blog post, should there be photos, calls to action? And then Bridget is asking, should we ever include video inside the blog post? Is there any value in doing that?
Yes, and yes, right? So Google loves to see every different type of media that you can produce. It loves to see images, and it loves to see unique images. So don't take images from other websites, not because it's like, oh, it's duplicate or whatever. Google wants to see something unique. So go outside, take a picture of something that you have. When you're doing something, go out and take pictures constantly. and have those pictures like almost as a backup, right? Then what you're going to want to do is if you can create a video, that's awesome. And what you do is put it up on YouTube and get the transcript of that video and make a whole other blog post using the transcript of that video,
Yep.
right? Like it's absolutely amazing the amount of stuff that you can produce.
Yep.
And
That's great.
video, Google loves video. Google loves video. I'm just taking the same thing and I'm putting it into Claude.
Awesome. It's nice to see a demonstration of Claude 3, so thank you for that. Bridget, thank you for helping Victory out. Victory, here's a link on how to paste HTML code into Wix, and there's a Perplexity link right there. Bridget, I don't know if you've been using Perplexity or not. I have not, but I've heard a lot of good things about it.
So do you see how like Claude just seems to go a lot deeper into things?
Yeah. I just want you to see this, Andrew. Pat, thank you. Andrew and Hubert learned so much today. Thank you.
So I'll leave you guys with this. I put this in the chat, this thing. You don't need to take the prompts exactly the way that it says here. And like I said, you're going to want to, they want to purchase, to change this because they don't want to just purchase pins.
Right.
Just whatever your
I dropped the link again in the chat. Again, if you want to contact Andrew, send us an email at support@partnerattractionformula.com. Also, check out designyourpins.com. I think Andrew put together a special offer. Anybody that knows us will give them what was it, 10% more pins, Andrew?
Yep, 10% more pins of any of whatever they order.
Yep, that's awesome. And then there's the link to the Topical Authority document.
So, like I said, guys, this just runs, and what I do is I'll write like 2 articles a day through AI.
Wow.
I'll take a little bit of time. I'll read through them all, just make sure that they're good to go, and I'll post them. And honestly, guys, that's it. I mean,
Andrew, this is back in the day. This is how we built these authority sites that would outrank everybody. The issue was that you spent so much money on hiring people to produce the content that you couldn't do it, beyond your budget. And still, at the end of the day, you were paying not only an outrageous amount of money, but spending so much time getting it done. The tools now that you've shown us are just simply incredible. So thank you.
No problem. Guys, I love talking about this stuff. I could talk all day long. My wife gets tired of this, so she, my wife is like, listen, if you could find somebody else to talk to about this, that would be great. So like I said, I love talking about this stuff. Anybody who has any questions or whatever else, I'd be more than happy to, we'd be more than happy to help you address them. Like I said, Hubert threw out the email address. Reach out. I'll be more than happy to help you with whatever you guys need.
Awesome. Okay, so stop your share and we'll say goodbye. And thank you everybody for your attention. This has truly been awesome. Andrew, I know you promised Ask You Anything. We've just hit the tip of the iceberg. So if you can pledge to us to come back, we would greatly appreciate that.
Absolutely, anytime you want. Anytime you want. And now that you guys kind of have a gist of like whether we want to go over Google business profiles or you want to go over your website, because they're kind of, even though they both come together, they're both kind of 2 different strategies, right? Like your website, you can rank for a lot of different things that your Google business profile necessarily won't, but they both work in tandem with one another.
Right? And again, if you're a pizza shop, you probably favor Google Business Profile, and if you're an IT consultant, you'd probably want your website to rank better.
Exactly. And that's exactly it. So there's 2 different angles. So like I said, whatever anybody wants to cover, you just let me know. I'm always available.
That's awesome.
For you guys, I'm always available.
I love the spirit in the chat. Thank you, everybody. Get a load of this, Andrew. This is from the if you don't ask, you don't get department. Victory the Dominator says, can you come back tomorrow, same time? So that's awesome. And again, the aptly named Victory the Dominator. So thank you so much. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. Andrew, kudos to you. You're awesome. Thank you, everybody, for the chat. Hey, We don't need Ridgely Goldsboro to entertain us with his stories. We got Andrew.
Ridgely who?
There you go. All right, brother. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Enjoy.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you.